in Cliftonville. It's very, very close, maybe about 1.5, 2-3 miles from the most eastern point in Kent. I'm starting out at Fourness Point pumping station, which is right on the tip of the point. I'm going to be walking along the beach here at the base of the cliffs down to Botany Bay, and then I'm going to walk on round, or drive round depending on where the tide is, to Kingsgate Bay to have a look at the castle and show you some of the erosion in the cliffs there. It's surprisingly warm for January, but with a chill in the air, I think the hoodie may come on later. I'm just going to document the walk and just show you the way that the coast is cut away into the cliffs. There's archways and caves and tunnels and various different structures sticking out of the water, and I think you'll enjoy it. Now, in order to access the beach, there's a little cutout just next to the pumping station. Now, you can see the tide is on its way in, so I'm going to have to be pretty sharp getting around here. But if I get my skates on, you get to see the beach at the base, which leads around to Botany Bay, which, in my opinion, is one of the most beautiful beaches in Kent. So in the summer, this is a very popular beach, and if you keep watching the video, you'll understand why. It's got little sand dunes. Like I said, it's got some very beautiful erosion to the cliffs. It's a little over an hour outside of central London on the train. I think the high speed from Victoria or St Pancras will get you down here to Broadstairs Kent station in about an hour and 5 and 10 minutes. And then it's just a short bus ride down to the beach. If you're in the southeast of England or in Kent or even central London, I highly recommend that you come visit it down here. There's a little coffee shop on the beach. In the summer, it's absolutely stunning down here. But considering it's January, I mean, it's still stunning. This little bit of the beach that I'm on, either side of the main bay of Botany, gets cut off when the tide comes in. But for an hour and a half outside of central London, it's got to be worth a visit at least once. Even more cutouts and caves being formed. And this is where the little caves begin. Now, in the distance there is one of the things I really want to show you, because this is where some chalk plinths sit. And there's 2 or 3 pieces of cliff which have been disconnected from the main body of land and are just standing independently. Now, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get round, but if you pass through them, there's another beach which is only accessible at low tide. As you can see, the tide's on its way in. So if I can get round, I will show you. If not, I'll have to come back another day and take you around there. Now, quite often at Botany Bay, you get a lot of surfers, but today it's nice and quiet. But it's expansive, golden sand. There's 2 entrances to the beach. There's one there behind that pile of sand. Just behind the lifeguard's hut, there's another set of steps, which is where the cafe is. And at the top, this is by no way means sponsored, but it's the Botany Bay pub, which is owned by Shepherd Needs. And really, really good food. I had swordfish in there last summer and it was fantastic. Okay, we've just made it. Like I say, the tide comes in and cuts this beach off here very quickly, and you can see here, that's where the watermark is when the tide's in. So I'm not going to walk all the way around because there's no access from the other side of the beach. This is the only way on or off. But following round, you get even more Botany Bay. And where low tide is. And a lot of people don't know that underneath the waters of Thanet there is a chalk reef, which is excellent for scuba diving and probably something I'll cover in a future video. And I'm not going to cover too much on this beach purely because the tide's coming in, but in the future I might come back and have a wander through some of the tunnels and caves which are in the cliffs. You can see it, but back here there is an entrance that leads into a tunnel, which isn't very long, but you can look out onto the beach from these 3 holes. I don't know if they've been caused, if the holes at the top have been caused by erosion or they've been dug out, but yeah, it's quite cool. And there's little cutouts and little caves along, and just along the bay at the edge there, if you follow around the point, you'll reach Kingsgate Bay, and there's a natural archway cut out by the sea, which we won't be able to see from here, but I'll drive us around and show you that from afar, and hopefully come back and visit it on a day where I've bothered to check the tide. All I will say is, when visiting Botany Bay, and in fact any beach, make sure to check the tide times, make sure to be safe, and keep your wits about you. A couple of years ago, there was a large group of people who got stranded on this beach because they didn't keep an eye on where the tide was coming in, thought they'd be able to paddle back round, and by the time the tide had reached up to the cliffs, it was about 10 foot deep in water. It was a very hot day, but there was no way to rescue them. So the local Coast Guard just had to throw bottles of water down and sunscreen, tell them to sit in the shade and wait for the tide to come back out, because even though the tide comes up to here, this part of the beach is a cove and will act as a safety point, but if the tide comes in, you're stuck there until the tide comes back out. Just heading back up from the beach. Now, like I said, you are able to hire deck chairs and buy food and drink on the summer. The beach is covered by the Coast Guard, but only within season. But yeah, you just follow up these steps and that'll take you to the pub that I told you about before. I'm not going to go in there today, but I think it's worth knowing that it's here. And there it is, the Botany Bay pub. In the summer, pre-book, because it gets incredibly busy, but I've sat out on that sun terrace many a time, eating dinner, looking out across the sea. Highly recommend it. And just in case you do drive or want to do an overnight camp, there is a small car park with space for about 15 vehicles. There's also lots of ample parking along adjacent roads, and the car park is right next to the beach. And just in case the tide's in, there is a footpath that runs along the top of the cliff, and this place is worth visiting whether the tide's in or out. But if the tide's in, there's still enough sand to sit on, and you can still walk around and enjoy the local area. But I will say, as I'm going to almost run the coast, please, if you come to the coast, be courteous of others. Take a mess home with you. In the summer we have so many barbecues and beer cans and food packages just left across the beach, and it's left to volunteers to clear up. It's not fair on the locals, it's not fair on the environment. Everyone wants to enjoy the beach, so please preach over, be courteous, take rubbish home with you. Added bonus, there's some excellent wildlife down here. Or a kestrel, I don't know. Right, so I've driven around to Kingsgate Bay. The tide has come right in. There's no way that I'd have safely been able to walk around here. So, at one end of the beach there is a castle which is used for residents. Across the road from it there's the golf club, and yeah, quite pretty. There's also the Captain Digby up on the cliff, which I've heard is quite good for food. I might visit it in the summer in one of my overnight camps. But yeah, let me show you around. So the lifeboat's out, and when I got here, search and rescue were parked on the side of the road. Hopefully they found whoever they were looking for. It just goes to show, doesn't it? Be safe when you visit places like these. So an interesting point with Kingsgate Castle is it wasn't originally built to be a castle. The story goes that back in 1760 it was built by Lord Holland. He had a country estate here, of which the golf club is now, on the land that used to be his estate, and the castle was in fact his stable house. It's now just a local residence. It's got flats in it. You can't really look around the inside of it, but you can look on the outside. But yeah, Kingsgate is just one along from Botany, very much worth visiting. I'm not going to be able to get out to the archway today, but I'll do a video from afar to try and show you what it is, what it looks like even. Sun's going down, starting to get dark, and it's getting colder. But I'm in Broadstairs, and there's one more place that I have to show you before I go. And if you're ever in Broadstairs, I highly recommend that you visit this little pub. It's called The Chapel, and imaginatively named after the fact that it was once upon a time a chapel, and then it got turned into a bookshop, and then a pub. But the owners decided to keep all the original fittings from the chapel and all the bookshelves from the bookshop, and it's now a micropub / bookstore. They do great beers, and I'll show you around it. Okay, I'm now in Broadstairs High Street, about to go to the chapel, and not really a lot else to say other than to show you it. Enjoy. So I just wanted to do a little shout out thank you to Jed the manager and Julian the owner of the chapel, who were kind enough to let me film in their wonderful little pub. If you're ever in Broadstairs, I highly recommend you go in and visit. Other than that, this is the end of the video. Thanks again for watching, and if you could all just do me a huge favour, drop me a little like, comment and subscribe if you've enjoyed the video. It helps me out more than you know. Other than that, take care and be safe.